At 69, Rowan Atkinson has finally revealed the truth behind the character who changed comedy forever, Mr. Bean. More than a bumbling oddball, Bean was always something deeper. A masterstroke of silent storytelling, mischief cloaked in innocence, and maybe not entirely human. From his silent entrances to his alien exits, the clues were always there. Now, Atkinson is pulling back the curtain, confirming what fans have whispered for years. Mr. Bean isn't just a clown. He's a symbol, a statement, and a mystery. And after decades of silence, the man behind the Mini Cooper is finally ready to speak. The real origins of Mr. Bean. Before Mr. Bean ever walked into a room with his famous rubbery face and unpredictable antics, he was just an idea, a quiet experiment born in the dorm rooms of Oxford. Rowan Atkinson, then a student at Queen's College, wasn't thinking about worldwide fame. He was just trying to explore comedy in its purest form. While many performers relied on fast-paced wit or clever wordplay, Atkinson stood in front of a mirror, silently twisting his expressions and bending his body, testing what emotions could be conveyed without a single spoken word. From that private rehearsal emerged the earliest seeds of what would become Mr. Bean. Atkinson first channeled this concept into a character named Robert Box, whose awkward routines and near-silent persona would eventually resurface in Bean's television debut. "I realized early on," Atkinson once said, "that I could make people laugh without having to say a word." That realization changed everything. Inspired by silent film legends like Buster Keaton and Jacques Tati, Atkinson developed Mr. Bean as a tribute to the universal language of physical humor. Every twitch, every stare, every clumsy shuffle was carefully designed. His goal wasn't just to make audiences laugh. It was to prove that body language alone could carry a narrative. As he described it, Mr. Bean is a child in a grown man's body. He's sort of an alien observing human behavior and trying to fit in, but always getting it wrong. This core idea gave Bean his enduring identity. He wasn't just a silly character. He was a study in miscommunication and innocence. And unlike most comedic roles, Mr. Bean wasn't born in a writer's room or shaped by punchlines. He was crafted, facial muscle by facial muscle, in quiet isolation. As Bean took form, it became clear that his silent nature was not a limitation. It was a superpower. Without words, he could cross borders, generations, and cultures. That silent strength became the foundation for a comedy revolution that would ripple across the globe. Mr. Bean's silent roots might explain why he resonates so deeply, but it was his first televised steps into our world that truly set the stage for global fame. From the moment he landed on screen, literally, everything changed. Mr. Bean comes from the sky. When the very first episode of Mr. Bean aired in 1990, viewers were immediately caught off guard by how it began. Not with an introduction, not with a joke, but with a beam of light from the sky. Out of that light came a man, awkward and bewildered, dropped onto a quiet London street like a visitor from another world. The implication was clear to some and confusing to others. Was Mr. Bean even human? Though never confirmed outright, Atkinson later admitted the idea was deliberate. "He's not quite of this earth," he said, smiling coyly. The alien-like arrival, the confusion with simple tasks, the unorthodox reactions to everyday life, it all pointed to someone who doesn't fully understand the world he's in. This introduction wasn't just strange for the sake of being strange. It was foundational. It gave audiences permission to view Mr. Bean as something more than a quirky Brit. He became an outsider, a blank canvas for all our social absurdities. His flaws became lessons. His mishaps became mirrors. Episodes later built on this alien concept subtly. In Double Trouble, the animated series goes even further. Aliens that look just like Bean arrive in a spacecraft, bringing stuffed animals and beaming him away with the same light and music from the original series. Coincidence? Fans didn't think so. And Atkinson, while always careful, never outright denied the possibility. The impact of this origin was profound. It made Bean endlessly curious, free from expectations, and eternally excused from the rules of social logic. Whether he was misunderstanding a checkout line or inventing new ways to brush his teeth, it was all believable. Because he wasn't quite one of us. That celestial entrance was just the beginning. Once he landed, Mr. Bean needed a world to explore. A world that would be shaped by mischief, mistakes, and his two most loyal sidekicks. A green Mini Cooper and a well-loved Teddy. Teddy and the Mini. Every hero has companions, and for Mr. Bean, they didn't walk or talk, but they were full of character. First, there was Teddy. With sausage-shaped limbs, stitched eyes, and a permanent button-mouth expression, Teddy was more than a toy. He was Mr. Bean's best friend, confidant, co-pilot, and sometimes even his moral compass. Bean treated Teddy with as much care and respect as a person, tucking him into bed, feeding him, even giving him driving lessons. Rowan Atkinson once said, "Teddy represents the innocence of Bean. He's like the conscience he doesn't listen to." Their relationship is part comedy, part comfort, showing a childlike loyalty that underscores Bean's emotional simplicity. Then there's the Mini Cooper. Bright green with a black bonnet, this 1977 British Mini became a star in its own right. Bean's bizarre method of entering through the roof, his war with a blue Reliant Regal, and his rooftop driving setup, using ropes and a mop, turned the car into a mobile stage for some of the show's funniest physical gags. Both the Mini and Teddy ground the surrealism of Bean's world. They show that despite his alien quirks, he still forms attachments. He still has favorites. And through these non-human friends, we see more of Bean's humanity than his words could ever show. By now, Mr. Bean had become a global figure, but his fame didn't just grow by accident. It was fueled by one of the most brilliant comedy formulas of all time. Do more, say less, and make it universal. How Bean spoke to the world. Perhaps the greatest magic trick Mr. Bean ever pulled was becoming one of the most beloved characters on Earth, without ever really speaking. Across 15 original episodes and 2 feature films, Bean uttered only a handful of lines. Yet he made millions laugh. How? It all came down to body language and timing. Atkinson had studied it like a scientist. Every eyebrow twitch, every lurching stumble, every exaggerated stare was fine-tuned. The absence of dialogue wasn't just a gimmick, it was a global strategy. The less he says, Atkinson noted, the more people anywhere can understand him. This choice gave Bean an unmatched international reach. From South America to Southeast Asia, viewers didn't need subtitles to get the joke. They just needed to see him try to change into swim trunks without being seen, or navigate a formal dinner without knowing what to do with oysters. It's why Mr. Bean remains a staple in film schools and comedy studies. His silence is studied like Shakespeare's soliloquies, because within it lies rhythm, expression, tension, and payoff. It's pure performance. What could have been a limitation became the show's greatest strength. Mr. Bean didn't talk, but he said everything. To Teddy, more than just a toy. To most viewers, Teddy may look like a simple plush toy with button eyes and sausage-like limbs, but in Mr. Bean's world, Teddy is far more. He's a best friend, a co-conspirator, and at times, even a conscience. Rowan Atkinson described Teddy as the only character that truly understands Bean, which is part of why their bond feels so real. This soft, silent companion was a creative masterstroke, a character without lines, yet full of personality. Throughout the series, Teddy appears in crucial moments. Whether it's getting tucked into bed, stitched up after being nearly destroyed, or dressed in costumes for imaginary play, Teddy is always at Bean's side. Their relationship is symbolic of Mr. Bean's innocence. He may not have many human friends, but he finds comfort in simple connections. In a way, Teddy reflects Mr. Bean's inner child. Teddy also serves as a comic prop, but one that carries weight. He's often treated like a living creature. Bean makes tea for him, checks his pulse, and even takes him on vacation. That depth makes their interactions funny and strangely touching. It's no surprise that Teddy became a merchandising success. From keychains to plush toys, fans around the world wanted their own piece of the Mr. Bean magic. In a world full of chaos and miscommunication, Teddy was Bean's constant, a quiet friend for a quiet clown. Mr. Bean's deep attachment to Teddy shows that even in his silliest moments, there's a layer of emotional depth. But this theme of otherness and solitude becomes even more mysterious when we start to look at his vehicle of choice, the quirky little car that became an icon all on its own, the Mini Cooper that stole the show. No car in comedy history is quite as memorable as Mr. Bean's 1977 British Leyland Mini 1000 Mark IV. Its green and black coloring, its unpredictable driving patterns, and the way Bean treated it like a living thing turned the Mini into a full-blown character in the show. Rowan Atkinson himself is a known car enthusiast, which added another layer of authenticity. From racing shopping carts in a parking garage to changing clothes while driving, Bean's escapades with his Mini were unforgettable. It wasn't just transportation. It was a comedic partner, an extension of his peculiar mind. The car was so closely tied to Bean that when audiences saw it, they instantly knew what kind of humor to expect. There's also a deeper meaning. The Mini is a small car navigating a big world, just like Bean. It represents both his independence and his vulnerability. Whether he's fighting for a parking space or being catapulted out of his seat, the car symbolizes Bean's place in society. Always in motion, always misunderstood, but never boring. Behind the scenes, several Mini Coopers were used, each modified for specific stunts. And that iconic padlock? Pure Bean. Who else would lock their car from the outside with a literal chain and lock? Fans loved it so much that the Mini has been preserved and displayed in museums, and even recreated in Lego form. Bean and his Mini were made for each other, clumsy, compact, but unforgettable. While Teddy and the Mini help define who Mr. Bean is, it's the global reaction to these symbols that truly reveals his cultural footprint. What began as a quirky British show would soon become a worldwide phenomenon. From local oddity to global icon, Mr. Bean began as a British experiment in silent comedy, but quickly grew into something far bigger. With almost no dialogue and a heavy reliance on visual gags, the show was perfectly built for international audiences. People in over 245 countries have watched the show, and it's been translated, subtitled, and redubbed. But often, none of that's even needed. Bean's comedy speaks its own language. Rowan Atkinson once said, "You don't need words to make people laugh. You need timing, you need clarity, and above all, You need honesty in the performance. Mr. Bean became a living proof of that philosophy. His actions translated across age, language, and culture. He was understood by children in Tokyo and grandparents in Buenos Aires. The show's massive appeal also came from its simplicity. Whether Bean was struggling with a beach-changing tent or trying to cheat in an exam, the situations were easy to relate to. That relatability gave the show an evergreen charm. With reruns still airing and episodes racking up hundreds of millions of views on YouTube, Bean's impact hasn't faded. It's only grown. Even the animated series introduced a new generation to the character. And when Rowan Atkinson performed as Mr. Bean in the 2012 London Olympics opening ceremony, it wasn't just a nostalgic callback. It was proof that he still mattered. But Mr. Bean's universal fame isn't just about laughs. There's something more mysterious, more otherworldly about him that fans have long wondered about. And in some episodes, that mystery is given an eerie spotlight. Alien origins, longtime fans of Mr. Bean have noticed something strange. His appearances, his behavior, and even the show's intro hint at something alien. In one of the very first episodes, Bean falls from the sky in a beam of light, landing on an empty street in London. The imagery is subtle but unforgettable. Later in the animated series, this theory becomes more obvious. In one episode titled Double Trouble, a spaceship arrives, and from it step several beings who look just like Bean. They wear the same clothes, carry their own teddies, and even behave like him. The implication? Bean isn't one of a kind. He's one of a species. Rowan Atkinson has never fully confirmed or denied this theory. But in interviews, he's dropped hints. Mr. Bean is a man who doesn't quite fit, he once said. He's out of sync with the world around him. Whether that means he's an alien or just very odd is up for interpretation. The theory isn't just fun, it fits. It explains why Bean seems immune to embarrassment, why he doesn't follow social rules, and why he interacts with the world in such a strange way. He's not from here. He's just trying to get by. One odd adventure at a time. And maybe that's why he resonates with so many people around the world. Because deep down, we've all felt like outsiders. And Mr. Bean, he turned that feeling into something to laugh at and love. Mr. Bean at the 2012 Games. In one of the most unforgettable moments in Olympic history, Rowan Atkinson reprised his iconic role as Mr. Bean during the opening ceremony of the 2012 London Olympics. As the world watched, Mr. Bean sat behind a keyboard in the orchestra performing Chariots of Fire. And, true to form, he drifted off, daydreaming about running the famous beach scene. This short sketch, broadcast to billions, reminded the globe of Mr. Bean's enduring magic. It wasn't just comedy. It was cultural pride, British wit showcased on the biggest stage imaginable. That moment wasn't a random gag. It was handpicked by director Danny Boyle, who said, Mr. Bean represented a part of British humor that was universally understood. With no dialogue, no need for translation, Atkinson's subtle expressions and perfectly timed physical gestures delivered massive laughs. Audiences across the world, whether in Beijing or Brazil, roared with recognition. The skit also proved something deeper. Even after years away from the screen, Mr. Bean hadn't lost his touch. Atkinson's performance was sharp, clever, and filled with nostalgic charm. It was a reminder that the character could still steal the spotlight, even at a global event like the Olympics. The Olympic moment also served as validation of Mr. Bean's continued cultural relevance. His presence was more than just entertainment. It was a symbol of how far his character had traveled, from humble British sitcoms to center stage in the global spotlight. After lighting up the Olympics with his signature mischief, Mr. Bean's influence began showing up in even more unexpected places, including corners of the internet and fan culture that reimagined the character in modern digital ways. This digital rebirth would give Mr. Bean a whole new audience. Mr. Bean in the internet age. Long after the original episodes ended, Mr. Bean found an unexpected second life. Online. From viral TikToks to endless memes, Bean's signature expressions became part of internet culture. Whether it was the image of him nervously checking his watch or the gif of his slow wink, the character became a shorthand for relatable, hilarious moments. And it wasn't just fans. Major brands began using Mr. Bean memes to market products, proving his image still sold. Rowan Atkinson himself was amused by the phenomenon. "I didn't expect to see Mr. Bean on the internet in this way, but it shows how universal physical comedy can be," he remarked. These memes reached a younger generation who had never seen the original show, and yet they instantly understood the humor. Animated GIFs of Bean saying nothing, just raising an eyebrow or making a funny face, became more powerful than any punchline. In an age of rapid content consumption, Mr. Bean's simplicity stood out. His silence became louder than any trending audio or flashy visual. What's more, the show's style, clean, minimal, visual, fit perfectly into platforms like Instagram and YouTube Shorts. It required no translation, no subtitles, no explanation. Just a face, a look, a moment, and it made people laugh. As Mr. Bean dominated digital culture, fans began to ask deeper questions. Was this just a comedic character, or something much stranger? Theories started swirling, and the most persistent one of all was out of this world. Is Mr. Bean an alien? It sounds ridiculous at first, until you look closely. From the very first episode of the series, there were clues. Mr. Bean arrives from a beam of light that shines down onto a London street, as if he's just dropped from the sky. No explanation, no origin. Just a man in a brown coat, blinking into the light of a new world. This wasn't a one-time gag. In the animated series, the idea is taken further. Mr. Bean is seen among a race of alien beings that look exactly like him. Same clothes, same stuffed animal, same quirky behavior. In one episode, they even beam him back up into a spaceship, suggesting he had returned home. Rowan Atkinson has hinted at the idea. "There's something otherworldly about him," he once said. "He doesn't quite fit in, because he's not really from here." It's never confirmed outright, but it doesn't need to be. The beauty of Mr. Bean is in the mystery. The alien theory adds a fascinating layer to his character. Suddenly, his confusion with basic human interactions isn't just silly, it's alien. His childlike wonder, his strange moral code, his awkwardness in social settings, they all start to make sense. Whether you believe the alien theory or not, one thing's certain: Mr. Bean's universe is full of characters and props that speak louder than words. None more so than his trusty companions, Teddy and his green Minnie. Teddy and the Mini Cooper. Every superhero has sidekicks. For Mr. Bean, it's his threadbare teddy bear and that unmistakable lime green Mini Cooper. These weren't just props, they were characters in their own right. Teddy, with its stitched button eyes and floppy limbs, represented Bean's innocent, childlike nature. He dressed it, fed it, even talked to it, bringing warmth and personality to an inanimate object. The Mini, meanwhile, was pure comedy in motion. The way Bean squeezed into it, fought for parking, or hilariously locked it with a padlock on the outside. It was a running gag. That never got old. In one iconic moment, he even drove it from a lounge chair on the roof, using ropes and a mop to steer. It was absurd and unforgettable. Both Teddy and the Mini became instantly recognizable symbols. Fans would build replicas, collectors hunted down toys, and even car enthusiasts celebrated the odd little vehicle. Rowan Atkinson once joked, "The Mini became more famous than me for a while." But he embraced that, knowing those elements were what grounded Mr. Bean's wildness in something familiar. With all this fame, it's easy to forget how Mr. Bean started, as a private moment in front of a mirror. But over time, this small character grew into a global phenomenon that shaped Rowan Atkinson's life and gave comedy a brand new face. Mr. Bean's lasting impact. Today, Rowan Atkinson is 69 years old. He no longer performs as Mr. Bean often, but the character's influence lives on. In classrooms, comedy workshops, and film schools, Mr. Bean is studied for his mastery of non-verbal storytelling. In a world full of noise, he proved that silence can be just as loud. From British sitcoms to Olympic stages, from black and white sketches to HD streaming platforms, Mr. Bean has endured. Atkinson crafted a character so unique, yet so universally relatable, that he remains beloved across continents, cultures, and generations. New actors may come, new comedians may rise, but few will ever achieve what Rowan Atkinson did with Mr. Bean. Complete, global, wordless communication. A raised eyebrow, a confused blink, a slapstick stumble. Those were his punchlines, and we all understood them. As Atkinson recently reflected, it was always about the simplicity. That's what made him work. Simplicity, sincerity, and a touch of mystery. Mr. Bean may have arrived on Earth from a beam of light, but his legacy is grounded in something very human: the need to laugh, to connect, and to find joy in the little things. And that will never go out of style. In a world that talks too much, Mr. Bean reminded us of the power of silence. Rowan Atkinson didn't just create a character. He built a language without words, one that spoke to kids in Cairo, elders in Osaka, and everyone in between. Mr. Bean's magic wasn't just his misadventures, his teddy bear, or his green Mini. It was his universal truth that awkwardness is human and laughter is healing. At 69, Atkinson's confirmation only deepens the legend. Mr. Bean may be from another world, but his impact is firmly grounded on ours. Across 2 films, an animated series, and even the Olympic stage, he's remained ageless. His absence of dialogue became a bridge, crossing culture, language, and generation. And while the world changed around him, faster, louder, more complicated, Bean stayed the same. Quiet, odd, kind, and unforgettable. So whether he came from the sky or the stage, one thing is clear. Mr. Bean didn't just entertain us. He showed us that humor has no borders, no accent, and no expiration date. He never needed to speak, because the world was always listening, and it still is.